Hello? My husband had an accident. The call was from the police. Rushing to the hospital with my family, I found my husband lying on a bed, completely wrapped in bandages. And next to him was another person. The woman I hated so much it haunted my nightmares was lying there in a similar state. What happened? My husband's complexion turned even paler when he saw us enter the room. It's not what it looks like. Instead of showing concern for my severely injured husband, my father crossed his arms and glared at him with a look I had never seen before, making my husband start to sob. Seeing this, anger welled up inside me. Why are you crying? He was having an affair with this woman. That was something I could never forgive. The other party was too vile. And then, the situation took an unexpected turn. My name is Jessica. It's been 10 years since I married, and my relationship with my husband, Michael, is still good. We are known as a loving couple to those around us. I met Michael through an introduction by my father, Raymond, in what was essentially an arranged meeting. There's a fine young man in the company perfect for Jessica. Would you meet him just once? My father runs a company and mentioned there was a promising young male employee. It was rare for him to ask for favors. I agreed to the matchmaking meeting, wanting to help my father out. Sigh. A matchmaking date with the president's daughter, he can't really say no, poor guy. With that thought, I headed to the private dining room of a fancy restaurant arranged for the matchmaking. Surprisingly, I fell in love at first sight with the man sitting across from me. He was an elite graduate from a national university, a rising star in the company, handsome, plus friendly and easy to talk to. The more we talked, the more I was drawn to Michael's character. But knowing he couldn't refuse a second meeting because I was the president's daughter, I tried to end the meeting without revealing my feelings. Despite this, Michael said he wanted to meet again. I was overjoyed at that moment. Soon enough, we got married and were blessed with 3 children. Our kids grew up to be honest and kind, and I often feel I am truly fortunate. However, lately, I feel like the conversations between Michael and me have decreased, especially when it's just the 2 of us. Conversations with the children are normal, but conversations between the 2 of us have decreased dramatically. Even when I try to initiate, he gives half-hearted responses while on his phone, which is starting to make me sad. Now, 10 years into our marriage with 3 kids ranging from upper to lower elementary school. I'm still just 32 and in my prime. It's not wrong to want to feel like a woman in front of my husband, not just a mother, right? I don't necessarily need the lovey-dovey stuff, but I want to feel like we're still romantic partners. Is Michael going to be late again tonight? It's 11 p.m., the kids are asleep, and I'm waiting for Michael in the living room with the TV on. I must wait for him tonight. I need to hold his hand, I need that energy recharge. I've been having the worst dreams lately. In them, my despised older sister, Laura, appears and takes away something precious to me every time. These aren't just dreams, but memories from the past, and I hate that I have to relive those awful feelings. My sister was beautiful but notoriously ill-tempered. Particularly harsh with me, starting in upper elementary school. The bullying began with typical schoolyard torments and grew more insidious over time. She destroyed and stole things I cherished. Not just objects but relationships too. I was isolated throughout my school years. My parents always protected me, but there's only so much they could do under the same roof. There is a limit. That's why they encouraged me to marry early. The harassment from her lessened after I married and moved out, but it's the worst that she's now even invading my dreams. My sister, who left home during her student days, married quickly and just as swiftly got divorced, is now living back at our parents' home. That's why I can't go back home. I need to pour my heart out to Michael, or else I can't calm down. Whenever I suffered from my sister's actions, I would talk to Michael, and his embrace would soothe my soul. You and Dad are really close. Lovey-dovey. So lovey-dovey. Lovey-dovey. Even when nothing special was happening, we would be cuddling, much to our children's amused bemusement. Now, our conversations have dwindled. This is an emergency for me. I feel lonely, so lonely, this isn't right. My murmur is drowned out by the volume of the TV. What is Michael thinking? Will it continue like this? I hate to think so. Just then, I hear the key turn in the front door lock. I jump up and rush to greet him. Welcome home. Which one first, dinner or shower? I take his work bag with a big smile, as usual. Dinner. Michael sighs, looking tired. Tough day, huh? I'll get it ready. I hurry to the kitchen to heat up the dinner I prepared earlier. After a while, Michael follows me into the kitchen. A scene that used to be common where he would stand at the entrance, chatting until the food was ready. Such is the norm, and today, for the first time in a long time, it feels that way. It's sudden, but I've got a business trip starting tomorrow, for 2 nights and 3 days. What? That's so sudden. Where's the trip to? Florida. So I'll be leaving first thing in the morning. While loosening his tie and shrugging his shoulders, I hide my disappointment and smile. Florida, huh? Key lime pie? Cuban sandwich? You really love your food, don't you, Jessica? Michael laughs. No, it's not like that. It's for the kids to enjoy. I'll buy some. Sorry for always leaving the house stuff to you. Well, what's with the formal talk all of a sudden? It's totally fine. Taking care of the house is my job. Having married right after college, I've never worked outside. So I respect and want to support Michael, who works hard. I'm done. Should I get ready for your business trip while you eat, Michael? Nah, I'll do it myself, it's fine. You have an early start tomorrow, Jessica. You can go to bed without waiting for me. Really? Well then, I might just take you up on that. I'll see you off tomorrow then. I set the reheated food on the table and take off my apron. Good night. Michael has somehow pulled out his phone, seemingly oblivious to my words. A creeping loneliness envelopes my chest. With no response coming anytime soon, I head to the bedroom. I forgot to mention about the dreams. Taking a deep breath to calm my heavy, anxious heart. I try to soothe the unresolved worries on my own and drift off to sleep. And now, it's the 3rd day since Michael left for his business trip. I've been feeling melancholy doing the household chores alone. Truth be told, on the day of his departure, I overslept and couldn't see him off. I woke up at the usual time, only to find that Michael had already left long ago. Unable to have a proper conversation, unable to share the nightmares I had intended to talk about, and unable to see him off. For the past 3 days, I've been feeling down, unable to lift my spirits. I can still manage to be my usual cheerful self in front of the children, but it's different when I'm alone. I wish he would come back soon. I mutter to myself, and then the phone rings. Which came first, my mutter or the phone ringing? It's a miracle I even noticed the call, considering I usually have it on silent mode, only vibrating. It was a miracle that I noticed the incoming call. Hello, an accident? The call was from the police. Your husband has been in a serious accident and is in critical condition. Please come to the hospital with your family immediately. Yes, I understand. I know you must be in shock, but please try to stay calm. Yes. What is the person on the other end of the smartphone saying? My mind went blank and couldn't keep up. Before I knew it, the call had ended. My mind raced desperately. Michael has an accident at the hospital. My hands were shaking. What should I do? Those words kept spinning in my head. Suddenly, the faces of my children came to mind, and I slapped my cheek hard. Calm down. With a somewhat calmer heart, I started calling the children's schools, my in-laws, and relatives with trembling hands. I needed to get to the hospital where Michael was as soon as possible. Somehow I made it to the hospital, and my thoughts froze again. There was my husband, wrapped in bandages, lying on the bed. And in the next bed was Laura, from my nightmares, was lying there in a similar state. What does this mean? Michael turned even paler when he saw us enter the room. Mom, Dad, oh, my father-in-law too, oh. Instead of showing concern for Michael's severe injuries, my father was folding his arms and looking at him with a terrifying expression I had never seen before. It wasn't just because Laura was there. My father had been briefed by the police and had been wearing this face ever since he returned. Daddy's all wrapped up. Like a mummy. The youngest child's cheerful voice seemed to break the tense atmosphere among the adults. But the older two were not so young as to be oblivious to the situation. The eldest son, in particular, was casting a disdainful look at his own father. And before I knew it, a man named Bob, one of my father's subordinates, was beside him, looking quite uncomfortable as he glanced at Michael. Bob. I'm sorry, but could you take the kids out for a bit? Yes, sir. Why is Bob here? Michael's face contorted as he struggled frantically, as if trying to escape. However, the doctor said that while his life was not in danger, he would need more than 3 months to fully recover. He couldn't possibly move. Bob has been our driver up to this point. I heard a lot about you on the way here. Apparently, you've been on a family trip these last few days. Ah, well. The previously timid gaze sharpened, glaring at Bob. Bob gave us a small nod and left the room with the children. But I still couldn't grasp the situation. Sensing this, my father let out a deep sigh. Jessica, while you were listening to the doctor, I was getting information from the police. First off, did you know that Michael has been taking leave for the past few days, claiming it was for a family trip? Family trip? That can't be right. Exactly. It's strange to call it a family trip when you're not with him. For the past few years, not only had our conversations as a couple decreased, but we also hadn't gone out as a family. I thought it was because the children were growing up and we were doing more things separately on holidays. Then Michael started making excuses in a panicked manner. I was not on a family vacation, I was on a preview of a family vacation. I was not on a family vacation, I was on a preview of a family vacation. It is my important role to lead my family in a strange land, and previews are important. He stammered out these words. Michael's eyes were clearly darting around. But is a preview really necessary for a trip? I felt a chill settling in my heart. By the way, Michael, why are you here? What about your business trip to Florida? Business trip? What do you mean? I don't recall ordering such a thing. A cold voice and gaze pierced Michael. I heard my father's shouting voice for the first time in a long while. The hospital room was large, but aside from Michael and my sister, there were no other patients, and it was like we had the room to ourselves. Eek. This man lied to Jessica about going on a business trip, and it seems he was enjoying a vacation with Laura. I could tell my father was struggling to contain his anger as he spoke. With big sis, what do you mean? I had a feeling the conversation was heading in a direction that wouldn't be good for me. Were the nightmares I've been having a form of premonition? Is that what this was about? According to the police, they had a head-on collision with a semi-truck while traveling in a rental car. It turns out they stayed in the same room at the inn the day before the accident, discovered through inquiries with the staff there to verify their identities. Michael and Laura stayed in the same room. Anger began to well up inside me. I didn't care about the accident or his severe injuries anymore. How could you lie about going on a business trip? Oh, no. It's not. Then explain. Michael looked surprised by the anger in my voice. Did you think it would be okay to cheat because I love you? Or what? Did you marry me just because I'm the president's daughter? No. I truly love you, Jessica. How can you say such things in this situation? It's absurd. I felt like I was going to cry from anger. Glancing at my sister, her injuries seemed less severe than Michael's. She was also covered in bandages, but her complexion looked somewhat better. However, the expression on her face seemed to mock me. Why, of all people, did your affair have to be with my sister?
You knew what I've been through because of her.
A gleeful laugh came from next to the guilty-looking Michael. How funny. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? I'm more beautiful than you, and I have a better figure. Any normal man would choose me over you, especially as you've gone downhill since getting married.
That's not true. Jessica has always been beautiful.
Don't be stupid. It's too late to say things like that now. The fact that you chose me can't be erased. I chose you, but it was just a moment of folly. The only one I truly love from the bottom of my heart is Jessica. The I love you that would have made me happy yesterday, or even a few hours ago, now felt hollow and cold. The supposed loving husband looking at me with pleading eyes only stirred feelings of disgust. Stop the charade. Jessica, I received this from the police. My father quietly placed a smartphone in front of me. That familiar smartphone was Michael's. I took it and turned the screen towards Michael.
Give it back.
Michael's expression grew even more frantic. Ignoring his attempts to move his immobilized body, I unlocked the phone with facial recognition and opened the messaging app. Then, how pathetic, talking about loving me with all your heart. The messaging app was filled with a list of girls' names. And without exception, the exchanges on each were as dark as the color black. Heart stamps, photos that seemed to be post-intimate moments, discussions about their next date. Out of curiosity, I sent a message to the top girl asking what she was doing. Instantly, it was read, and a reply came back. Michael, I can't wait to see you again. Let's love each other lots on our next date. Polite to the end, the message was littered with heart stamps. I felt nauseous. Are all these girls from your dad's company? No, that's not it.
Be clear.
My father's shouting made him flinch. Not all of them. Some are from, well, dating apps. I was so appalled I couldn't find words. From behind us came the soft sobbing of my mother-in-law.
You idiot. To cheat despite being treated so well.
A heavy, despairing voice from my father-in-law quietly spilled out. What was all that bragging about what you liked about Jessica for? Shocked by her son's betrayal, my mother-in-law muttered sadly.
It's not like that. I really do love Jessica. It was just a lapse in judgment, it's different. I've heard you say that over and over, but nothing is different. You betrayed the person you supposedly really love. You're a traitor.
Eek.
I don't understand how someone who has a wife could get involved with another person. To cheat and still say you love your wife? Surely no one here can understand that. Stupid son.
The word traitor sank heavily into my heart. Oh no, this is such a turn-off. It was just a game, and now I'm tired. I'm over it and don't need you anymore, so I'm giving you back to her. Laura's words brought a slight color back to Michael's face.
That's right. I won't see them ever again. I'll cut off all the girls.
So what? My voice came out colder than I expected.
Are you thinking of making amends? That's impossible. I've told you all about my past traumas, the pain I've endured. And yet, with my own sister. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Just thinking of being touched by the hands that touched my sister makes me sick.
Huh? Really, what a rude sister. Can you not talk about people like they're trash?
You are trash. Your character is so twisted and filthy, nothing but trash. Garbage woman.
Huh? Apologize.
Laura.
My father cut off my sister's words.
I kept you at home out of a sense of responsibility for how you turned out, but I've reached my limit. After today, I am cutting ties with you. Why? Don't joke with me. I'm the injured one here. You can't just do that.
Laura's expression turned to panic for the first time. But my father was looking at her quietly, intently.
Maybe this is punishment from God. Have you thought about how much you've made Jessica suffer? What bothers you so much about her?
your sisters, after all." My father's voice, previously filled with anger, was now soaked with sorrow, conveying his troubled relationship with Laura, yet showing that he genuinely cared for her.
"It's your fault. You always praised Jessica. I was the inferior one, after all."
"So it seems. We tried to raise you both equally. It's natural for parents to praise their children when they get perfect scores on tests or win awards in sports. Jessica just had more of those occasions. It seemed Laura had always been jealous of me. Misinterpreting that she received less love from our parents, she let this misunderstanding grow to this extent. But Laura, we also celebrated when you were scouted as a model or when you started high school, didn't we? Have you forgotten?" "I remember. For both my celebrations and Laura's, our mother would cook lots of our favorite dishes, and the four of us would gather around the dining table. There might have been no conversation between us, but both our parents spoke to and praised us equally. In the end, you were just projecting your own insecurities onto Jessica. And now, you've crossed a line that should never have been crossed."
"I don't care. Don't say you're cutting ties. I have nowhere to live."
Despite our father's sorrowful voice, Laura thought only of herself. "From now on, I will hire a lawyer. Be prepared for the lawsuit for alimony from both Michael and Laura after your discharge."
"You're going to sue your own daughter? That's heartless."
Tears streamed from Laura's eyes. However, knowing those tears were for herself, I felt no emotion.
"Alimony, you're not going to divorce me, right? I'll change. I'll never cheat again and will only care about my work and family. Of course we're getting a divorce. I might have considered it if the other person wasn't my sister. If there had been only one person, there might have been room for leniency, but..."
Tears I had been holding back ran down my cheeks. "Just seeing your face now makes me sick. I can't forgive you." "That's..." Tears also flowed from Michael's eyes. Seeing this, anger surged within me. "Why are you the one crying?" But that anger wasn't voiced, only sobs escaped my lips. "The lawyer will handle the alimony and child support. And don't forget, as the president, I have to impose a disciplinary action on you. I'll contact you later about the decision." "That's..." "I don't want a divorce. I don't want it. You don't have a say in this. Please, don't repay kindness with ingratitude anymore." Sobs escaped Michael's mouth at my mother-in-law's words. After ensuring Michael had finally fallen silent, my in-laws bowed their heads to my father and me with somber expressions. "We are terribly sorry for the trouble our foolish son has caused. We assure you, we will not let him cause any more trouble." My father nodded quietly, and we left the hospital room, his arm supporting me. Once in the deserted lobby, he made me sit and handed me a drink.
"Are you okay?" "I'm okay. I've calmed down a bit." "Are you sure about the divorce?" "You can think it over." My father knew how much I loved Michael. Even after getting married and having children, I was always talking about Michael, which made him smile wryly. But I shook my head no. I can't anymore. I will divorce him. But I can't afford the lawyer fees. The money I had access to was limited. I was a full-time homemaker who had never worked. I needed to find a job and felt overwhelmed with uncertainty. "Don't worry about that. I will cover the lawyer fees. I was the one who recommended Michael as a partner for you. You have a future to think about." "I will work too. I can't just rely on others, it sets a bad example for the kids. But maybe I can accept help with the lawyer fees." "Of course. You should rely on it." My father's sad, quiet smile as he patted my head brought tears to my eyes again. 6 months later, simultaneous with Michael's discharge, we divorced. Thanks to the lawyer introduced by my father, the process for alimony and child support went smoothly. From Laura as well. Laura was reluctant until the end, but it seemed that my father's declaration of cutting ties was serious, and she was kicked out of the house right after her discharge. I felt a sense of justice served.
Laura had always been careless with money and had debts. Now, I heard she was working at a nightclub to pay off her debts in alimony, but apparently, her earnings were not great due to her age. She was living in fear of debt collectors because she couldn't pay off her debts. As for Michael, he was, of course, fired from my father's company. He lost his title as the prospective president and was left with nothing. No one approached the fallen Michael. The mistresses in the company quickly lost interest and left him easily. Later I learned that Michael, using his position as the future president, had lured girls with expensive gifts. Once the material possessions and status were gone, those attracted to them left swiftly. I couldn't help but laugh. But I had no intention of forgiving those women. I made sure to claim substantial alimony from each of them. While not all of it has been collected yet, I plan to receive every penny. As for me, I started working in an administrative role at my father's company. I had always been a homemaker. My body was not yet accustomed to working, but with support from those around me, I was managing quite well. My personal life was also supported by my children. They must have had their own thoughts about the situation. They were trying to support me, understanding how much I loved their father and how his betrayal affected me. I was worried they might rebel, but that fear was unfounded. They were concerned that I might break down from the shock and took care of me. I thought they were still children, but they had already grown up. Ironically, this incident helped them find their future goals. Each of them is now studying hard, aspiring to become a doctor, a lawyer, and a business owner, respectively. With these three, it seems I don't have to worry about what the future holds. I will protect them until the day they achieve their dreams and leave the nest.
All right. I'll give as much as I got today again.
With renewed determination, I faced each day.